All right, all right. Good afternoon. It is Saturday, September 28th, 2024, approximately 1:34 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or Eastern Standard Time, however you want to call it. All right, so today, again, as always, I'm going to try not to take up too much of your time, but I do want to do a bit of a some lessons learned from the week and some improvements or some things that I've looked at to kind of improve on based off of what I was seeing through the trading markets this week. So I'm going to share that stuff with you as always. I'm only sharing, I'm not giving any advice. I'm only sharing my perspective and what I'm seeing and how what I'm planning or what have you. What you do with that information is totally your choice, totally up to you. And how you use it again is totally up to you. What you do with it. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. Since Bitcoin is on the move, we're going to use Bitcoin this morning for this illustration, at least this first part of the illustration. Okay, so as you can see here, we have so Bitcoin is the this is the 1 hour chart, Bitcoin USD, right? So this is what trades typically on the weekends when the regular market is closed. So one thing I wanted to bring your attention to first, right? So the key in my trading, right? The key in my trading process is to identify key areas on the chart, whether it be order blocks, fair value gaps, um, liquidity zones, areas, things like that. These are the areas where price has the most chances of reacting to one way or another, whether it be through reversals, breakouts, and things like that. So what I attempt to do is to take this knowledge and information for to plot and plan my trading setups. So one of the ways that I do that I've been sharing lately is using this money flow profile, right? Is that as you can see, right, we have so this red area, the way you want to look at it, and I've explained if you don't understand some of what I'm saying, go back to some of my previous videos and talking about these key areas and how this money flow profile works. So I've tweaked the settings. So I've updated the settings for to get a better visual of the profile. So for the 1 hour, let me show you what how many rows I added. And this helps me to get a better visual of the areas. So for the 1 hour, I have 45 rows to give me this visual. So 45 rows here, and your transparency and everything is further up to make the colors and everything pop on the heat map. So you can play around with that to get it to look the way that you want or what have you. But for me, again, transparency, I got 73 and 45 rows on the 1 hour. Now you have to play with it from time frame to time frame because 45 rows on the 5 minute may not get you this look right here. So you got to play with how many rows on the 5 minute looks like something that you want. Same thing on the 1 hour on the daily. All right. So first thing to notice, right? So this helps me to see key zones, right? On the chart. So what I know, what I look at is what pops out, right? We have this shaded red zone right here. And we know that red zones are areas of low liquidity, low volume, right? Low participation. So not a lot of transactions happening here. And remember, the 1 hour compared to the 5 minute is more historical data than we have more data on the 1 hour than we do on the 5 minute. The 5 minute gets us closer to today's trading or what have you, trading activity or what have you. So that's why you want to make sure you pay attention to that. And we'll go down to it here in a second. But we want to start, you really want to start on the daily when we're doing our analysis. But for the purpose of this educational video, I'm just using the 1 hour because this is my technical analysis time frame anyway. Doesn't matter what instrument I'm utilizing, the 1 hour is my analysis time frame. All right, so This red shaded area, then you have this blue shaded area. So from here to about here, then we get red again, then we get blue again, then we get red again, then we get blue again, then we get yellow, then we get blue, then we get red. All right, so what does this mean? So what this means is, remember, the red shaded areas are the zones and areas where there's not a lot of activity, not a lot of volume, right? Blue, we have average volume, right? So this is the movement of the market. So this is where the market is trending, right? This is your trend. You call it your trend zone, right? Your movement area. This is where the market is going to move. It's going to trend. See, we can consolidate up in this area, right? But for the most part, we'll consolidate more than likely. We can consolidate or reverse right off the back, just depending on the flavor of the market at the current time frame, the current time, right? And then we can get a reversal, breakout, whatever the case may be. But when you get into the blue zone, these are your areas of trending. This is when the market is going to move in between. So it's going to move from this area to this area. So from this zone to this zone, right? So this is your fluid area, right? So we're going to call this the movement zone. Then like I said, price gets here, right? We might take a little break or, whatever the case may be because we have low trading activity. So again, this is where we may have some consolidation, some regrouping or whatever the case may be, right? Before we continue to move, right? Then if we break out to the downside, then we know that, again, we're going to continue to move until we get to another area. Now, look at what happens at these areas a lot of times, right? So right here, we see this first zone. So once price broke out of here, so we see price pushed up, right? And, consolidated a little bit. And this is the Bitcoin, right? And then it pushed out, right? Now we see that it pushed out, it came back into the zone, right? And then pushed out again, right? But in any case, so price got here, pushed out. But look at what's sitting right here. So when price comes back down here, we see that we have a daily support or daily liquidity, right? It's daily liquidity. Okay. Based off of my liquidity indicator, right? So I know that in this red shaded area here, this area of low trading activity, that I have some liquidity. So what that means is the potential here is for price to come down, grab this liquidity, have a reaction, and reverse. That's the potential there, right? If we pick up some steam and we want to keep pushing the market down, we could very well do that. But this area here is already shown historically that it's an area of low trading activity, which means that we may not be so inclined to push the market down after grabbing this liquidity. So a couple of things, this is something that you want to notice and understand on your chart. That there's a good chance that price could, reverse from here and, push back up to, support level or resistance level, whatever the case may be, whatever is there. It could be a fair value gap. We don't know how price is going to shake out as it, comes down into this area here. But again, this is an area to watch on the charts. So we watch to see if price gets down here and comes into this zone right here, right? Now, if it breaks out, right, we know that more than likely there's a good chance we're going to continue to move till we get down into this area. What do we see in this area here? A fair value gap, right? And this is actually a flip fair value gap where we had a fair value gap when it was going down. Now we have a fair value gap when it went up, right? So price can come down here. Again, same scenario, right? Low trading activity. So we could grab, some of the liquidity in here, fill some of those orders or what have you, and very well reverse back to the upside, back to this area or whatever price is giving us at the time when it comes down, right? We don't know. It could create another fair value gap in this area right here, or whatever the case may be, consolidate, build some volume or whatever, right? But I just wanted to point out that in this this area of low activity and low volume, we have a fair value gap, right? So it coincides. So again, just showing the importance of volume in this whole thing. The price action, market structure, all that stuff is driven by volume. How we interpret that data and information is what determines how successful we are. And that's something that I really, really wanted to point out because a lot of people try to take, someone else's strategy, someone else's process, and everything. And, they say, hey, I followed your process and your strategy step by step, and I didn't get the same results, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that the strategy is bad, right? what it could possibly mean, and this is something that I came to understand this week, is that we can take the same information the same way, right? The delta is that we interpret it differently, right? Let me say that again. We can get the same information. You can take my strategy and follow it step by step and not get the results that I get. Why? One of the reasons for that I've come to understand is because it's how we interpret and use the data, the information that we're receiving. That's why, and I'm gonna take you back, right, to the days when we were in school, right? When we were in school, right? When we were in school as children, we sat in the classroom, right? Everybody got the same, you had the same teacher, got the same teachers at the same time in the same environment, right? But what happened? Why weren't all the students, why weren't all the students the same when it came to being graded and testing and all of that stuff? Well, what I've come to realize is that we all interpret information differently. How our brains filter and receive information is differently. That is why, we can take and follow these things step by step and not get the same results because how we interpret and use the data is different from each other. That's what makes us different. How we experience the world is what makes us individuals, right? And that is so true in trading, right? Again, you can take somebody's strategy and follow it step by step and not get the same results, right? I just wanted to share that because I hear it a lot that, people get upset because they feel like, they're following, other people's strategies and stuff, and it's just not working for them. Well, again, how you interpret that data is going to depend on how successful you are, right? Again, the same information, but that's why in trading and in anything, right, you have to figure out, right, what interpretation of that data works best for you. That's what I do. Right. I look at a lot of videos like I've shared before. I listen to people. I look at different things. I do my own research. I try a lot of different things out. And then I just find what works for me, something that I like, or what have you. So anyway, again, just sharing these things with you. That's why I say I'm not sitting here telling you that this is the best way, this is the way, this strategy is going to be a game changer for you. If you do this, then you're going to get this result. I can't tell you that. All I can do is share with you what I'm doing, what I'm trying out, what I'm seeing, and how I'm interpreting this information, right? That's all I'm doing is just sharing that with you. Again, how you interpret that information, how you utilize it, when you utilize it, and all of that stuff, that's totally up to you. Totally up to you. That's your responsibility, not mine. So, anyway, with that being said, again, same things, right? As we come down into the market, we see that now we get into this zone right here where we have high volume, right? High trading activity, right? We don't know what's going to happen here. You don't know. This isn't a zone necessarily. You can't look at this necessarily as a zone where price is going to reverse, right? That's not what this zone means. What this zone means, though, is that this is an area, this is the area on the chart for the 1 hour, right? That there's a lot of trading volume, a lot of trading activity, right? Look at this as the ultimate gas station, your Wawa, or it's another big gas station off of 95, right? So look at it as this. This is the stop. This is where a lot of traders are coming, to fuel up or whatever the case may be, right? So when price gets here, that's what happens a lot of times when it gets to that high volume, right? A lot of activity is happening right here. Whatever's going on, we don't know what's going to happen when price leaves this zone. We don't know if it's going to go back that way, right? Go back to the upside, or if it's going to continue to push through, to the downside. It could do either or. It just depends on the flavor of the day, the flavor of the moment, right? Because that could change. We know in these markets, nothing stays the same, right? One thing you can count on these markets is that change is going to happen. It is absolutely inevitable. So, as traders, again, it's our job to kind of interpret that, right? And have a plan for how we want to trade it if it moves one way or another. So if it comes down here, we wait for our reversal. We can wait, see if it reverses. If we get reversal signals when we go down to the lower time frame, then we play off of that, right? But understanding where can I enter, and then where is price likely to have a reaction if it does push back to the upside, right? So that's where I look to take my profits and stuff. Understanding, where these different areas are in the chart, and this right here allows you to kind of see that. So this is the 1 hour, right? All right, so going into the next phase of what I wanted to show you is here's a process that I've been kind of looking at this week for entries, right? I noticed that sometimes, so when price gets into this zone right here, what I've noticed is, again, it doesn't automatically reverse or anything like that. What I've noticed happens sometimes is, so when you see price shooting up, right? Shooting up, but it's shooting up on low volume, but we're getting these big spread candles, right? We're getting a lot of movement in a low volume area, right? Price keeps going up, but it's going up with little volume. What that is a lot of times is, unless it's news or something, right? Unless it's news or something, that's the manipulation. That's the manipulation, and you'll see that during the low the times of day where trading volatility is low. There's not a lot of liquidity in the market, right? Typically at the end of the trading day, maybe Tokyo session or something like that, you'll get that manipulation where there's not a lot of volume, but price is moving, right? See, I wanted to show you all this and point this out to you because I don't want you to think that every time you get into this red zone here that you're going to get a reversal. That's not necessarily how that works. You have to look out for the manipulation as well, because it may be a time of a low volatility or low volume, right? Low liquidity, right? And when there's low liquidity, you can get that volatility. It means that they're trying to we're trying to get some interest and liquidity in the market, right? So you want to recognize that. So if price is moving right on the move with little volume, again, that can indicate, that manipulation. That's that manipulation that you hear about all the time, right? And that's due to low liquidity and low volume, low interest in the market, right? Now, at some point, you're going to get that reversal, okay? But that's where you have to be savvy enough to understand the overall direction of the market, right? And be ready when that reversal comes, if it comes, because again, you look at the higher time frame to get your directional bias. So understand and know your directional bias for the day. Right? That means you got to look at the daily time frame. You got to know what's going on the daily time frame, right? So get your directional bias for the day and trade accordingly, right? So if I know that for my directional bias for the day is bearish, then I'll look for reversals, when price gets up in here, whether it's, being manipulated or not, I'll wait for those signals. And we're going to go down to the 5-minute time frame because I'm going to show you something that can help you to do just that, right? All right. So we got the zones down, we got the manipulation down. So now it's time to move on to how we want to possibly take out entries. So we're going to move to the lower time frame. All right. So this is my lower time frame chart. This is the 5-minute. Same thing, Bitcoin. So we're going to get the picture. So we already got our picture on the 1 hour, right? So we know where our points of interest are. We know where we're looking to possibly place some trades, right? So let's say, right, we were looking to place a buy, right? When price got into a point of interest on the 1 hour. And this is just for illustration purpose. I want you to see how this works. So what I've done, utilizing the volume support and resistance zones indicator, what I've done now is I tweaked it a little bit as of this morning, and I've added the 5-minute support and resistance zones, okay, on my 5-minute chart. Because one of the things I thought about, and again, I just did this morning, and I'm gonna show you why, is that when I'm trying to get those entries, right? Especially because I'm day trading, right? Not swing trading or anything. But I want to get those entries. I figured that if I take the 5-minute support and resistance zones and utilize those as timing my entries, that I may have some success there. And so let me show you what that looked like today. If we were to utilize what I'm talking about. So we know that right here, right? I have a 1 hour support. So you can see that on the 1 hour, and you can see it on the 5 minute because that's the way I have this particular indicator set up, right? So I know I have this zone right here, and price came into my red zone, right? So we know that we created. So this was already here, as of 9:10 a.m., right? So this was here. So price pushed away from it, right? Got up into this area right here, and then came back for the reversal. Now, when it came back into this area, right? Notice something. It hit this 5 minute support. So we have a 5 minute support within a 1 hour support. So again, if this support here is already here and established, right? And then we get this 5 minute support, right? So what that tells me is that when price comes back into my area, back into my support, that more than likely it's going to react to this 5 minute support zone that's sitting within this 1 hour support zone. You feeling what I'm saying? See, that's again, this gives me a stronger entry, a stronger point of entry than trying to do it, just trying to finagle it, right? Because look at it, when price came back, right? It didn't necessarily come into my red zone here, right? So I would have kind of been trying to figure out, well, where do I enter, right? Where do I enter this trade? Well, this 5 minute support being here gives me a better pinpoint zone or area to possibly enter this trade. And I say possibly because nothing is 100% in these markets, especially when you're dealing with Forex, right? And especially when you're dealing with these Bitcoin, or what have you, right? So I know that I have this 5 minute support right here. So this is a great area to start looking for my trade setup, right? So here's how I would have traded this, right? Price came back, entered into my 1 hour support zone. I wait for the buy signal, right? With utilizing the UT bots, buy and sell signal, right? I wait for the green buy signal. Once I would have gotten, let me show you what this would have looked like, right? So I know I got this 5 minute support here. I get the 5 minute buy signal. Once this is good, this closes out, I enter the market, right? So I put my buy order in. Let me show you what that would have looked like. So I would have put it in right here, and then I would have took it to this zone right here, right? This is where my take profit would have been. So basically an 85 pip move. 85 pip move, and just a couple minutes. 85 pip move from, let's see, we would have entered on the one, it would have been 105. So in about 20 minutes, we would have got about 85 pips with that move. Now, 85 pips opposed to, because you got to know what the drawdown was. I want you to see what the drawdown was. So we see before we got that 85 pips though, right? How many pips did we go into drawdown? We went into drawdown about 15 pips. So it was a 15 pip risk for 85 pip reward. Right now, I don't trade Bitcoin, right? I trade just, currency pairs, typically just UJ. But just for illustration purposes, so you can see what this looks like, right? 85 pip move. All right, now on the other token, right? We see here we got where did price come? We came up into this area right here and created again. So price pushed through this area, right? And we see that we're coming down. So again, based off the trade setup, I'm going to wait until I get that sell signal. So we see we bounced, we created a 5 minute resistance point, right? And we're now pushing down. You wait till you get the sell signal, right? So I get the sell signal there. Once I get the sell signal right here, I'm gonna wait for it to close, right? Now I'm looking to take this. I don't see a fair value gap or anything, so I'm gonna take it to about right here. So roughly a 90 pip move right here that we're possibly looking at. Roughly a 90 pip move. And this one, I don't see a lot of drawdown, maybe a 5 pip drawdown or something like that. Again, just illustration purposes, because again, we're looking at our key zones on the 1 hour time frame, but looking to utilize the 5 minute for those entries, right? So what I'm saying is when you're looking for that entry, so let's say this was at the top. So we know this is our 1 hour resistance zone, right? So we see that the 5 minute resistance ended up right here. That's fine, because if this happened at a high, higher, then we'll work with that, right? But we see that this is our resistance. Again, do this on one of your currency pairs. And this looks a lot better. Again, this is just Bitcoin, so this is how Bitcoin moves. But again, it also goes to show you that, this process can possibly be applied to, pretty much anything, right? So again, we see that price created this 5 minute resistance, again, right outside of this 1 hour resistance area. All right, so what I'm gonna do real quick, I think you kind of get the gist of that right there. So what I'm gonna do real quick is we're gonna go look at we're gonna look at a currency pair. All right, so I'm gonna look at EJ, and then we're gonna wrap this up for today because I want you to see what this looks like. All right, so EJ, it looks a little bit better, right? A little more comprehensive. I like how everything is popping, right? The colors and everything kind of stand out right here on EJ, right? All right, so we see this is the end of the trading day, on Friday. But again, just for illustration purposes, you see how price came into EJ's 1 hour. See this 1 hour support got pushed through, right? It broke down, right? Obviously, this 1 hour support broke down, or what have you. But in breaking down, right? So it kind of broke down like right there, right? You can see it, right? But then it pulled back, we pulled back into this support zone. What did price do, right? It didn't come back to this fair value gap right here, right? But what it did was it created this 5 minute resistance, right? And this is an area if you've missed getting into the move, right? Because we know Friday that the market had a huge sell off in a lot of different areas, especially in the currencies with the Japanese yen associated with it, right? But just for illustration purposes, when price created this 5 minute resistance within this 1 hour support zone, right? We got our sell signal right there, right? Price continued to push down, right? And what we do is we take that and we take that, right? And we take it to our red zone right down here. So what that would have looked like, let me show you, right? We got it. So this would have been the sell signal right there. So we would have got in right here and place our stop loss, right? We want to place our stop loss right at the top of this resistance zone, right? This resistance area that gives us a pretty tight stop loss. We'll see what that looks like here in a second. But we would have took it from here. So we put a sell in from here and we take it to the red zone. We're going to take it just to the top of this red zone right here, right? And we see that that was a 32 pip move, 32 pip move from there to there once you got that signal, okay? And you could have held it a little bit longer if you wanted to kind of see if it, went any further. But again, we just took it to the top of that the red zone right there. That would have been a 32 pip move right there, right? So let's see what type of drawdown we would have got. So we would have put our stop loss right there. We would have entered right here. So let's see if we entered right there. Well, let's see what the risk was anyway. So we put our stop loss right there. So we're looking at a 14, 15 pip stop loss. All right, I'm good with that. Right, I'm good with that. We got a nice tight entry, and we got a nice entry with a nice tight stop loss. So we got about a 1 to 2 risk to reward going on there with that particular trade right there. All right. And that's just on the low because we're catching this thing was already on the move, right? Or what have you. But just to give you illustration purposes or what have you, when we come down and look at our entry process, right? Now we see that we got this 5 minute support here. Again, this was the end of the day, so not a lot of liquidity. But again, the way to play this is if this is a key area on the 1 hour time frame, then again, we're looking for that support, that 5 minute support to pop up and give us something to trade off of. Because also what that means, the other thing I wanted to show you is also what that means is that we have buyers now stepping in and supporting this area. That's what's happening, right? That's why we got this 5 minute support going on right here because buyers have stepped in to push the market up. Now, it doesn't mean this is going to hold because, again, this was at the end of the trading day. But, just for teaching purposes, educational purposes, I wanted to show you all that. Let's take a look real quick and see what it actually looked like on the 1 hour. Let's see what this looked like on the 1 hour. Actually, I'm gonna go to the 1 hour, go to my 1 hour chart, go to my technical chart. Show you what EJ looked like. Yeah, see, we got that 1 hour support right there. Our 1 hour resistance area is right there. So it's going to be a while before we get that. Um, but we see where our key areas are. So we see where our key areas, again, the whole point I wanted to point out where our key zones are on this chart. So we got the red zone right here, blue zone, right? Got a little bit of yellow right there, right? And we got some yellow right here. So we got blue zone, right? Got some yellow right here, blue zone, red zone, right? So we see what price is doing. Again, we see what price is doing, right? So we want to see what happens when EJ gets down into this area. We want to see if we get this daily support right here and possibly get a reversal to the upside. That's a likely scenario here for us to come down and grab this right here. Then we want to see what happens when we come back and we hit this support zone right here, what have you. So a couple of ways to trade this. We want to just see what happens, right? We know we're entering a zone of little interest, low trading activity. So we'll see what pops once price gets down here. If it does, it may reverse first, come back to the upside and retest this 1 hour support. But we know if it does that, then more likely it's going to come to this high volume area right here before it does something. So we'll see what it does as it comes in. It can continue into this fair value gap as well. We don't know exactly how that's going to go, but we do know how we'll trade it if it does, right? So we do know if we put a buy in that we can take that buy up to this area right here at the very least, right? And we'll see what it does from here. It could push up into this fair value gap before we get that move down. So this will be something to watch as we have obviously from the news yesterday. From yesterday's trading session, we had a big, huge push, right? So we want to see possibly price fill in some of that push, right? And then we get that move to the downside, a bigger move to the downside possibly. So we'll see how things shake out with that right there. So anyway, don't want to bore you anymore. I think I've shared everything that I wanted to share with you for today. So as always, good luck, happy trading, and let's get to that money.